Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is VIGGY and I make videos of Yiddish, mostly. The huntige video liegt me schon auf my timeline couple of days. We haben decided to reis machen. The reason for was ich gewollt anhalten für machen the video is because ich habe mitgehalten ein bisschen mit der Chevremann. Ich bin auf Instagram for a paar minutes. It sounded like he's going through some stuff. Then he fell off of YouTube and Instagram. Und hat jetzt aufgepappt der erste Mal. Bei mir, ich will hören, was er zu sagen. The reason for was ich will hören, der Video versus andere, is because ich sich in Stamm zu hören, schellt, nein, er schreit. Again, ich kann es nicht gerecht, ich habe noch nicht kein Koech dafür. Der Channel, wo er ist off, heißt Andrew Gold. Ich habe schon herangebumpt in Andrew Gold's channel a couple of times wegen andere religions and andere cults and andere interviews. Ich habe ganz Hanuga. Ich follow him nicht, but ich habe nur auf seinem Channel. Ich habe gesehen, hat Kraus und sie kijkt uns, sie geht an a nice dialogue. You know, the guy should auf a mensch's channel, so 225,000 subscribers. He's not going to invite someone who is koilas evrokum, you know. Let's get into it. The link to his channel, to the Andrew Gold channel, liegt in the description below. Angefangen tun. Just to machen sicher, that you can see the original one. The video heißt Ex-ultra-Orthodox Jew teenager shocking twist. And of the thumbnail is homeless at 18. Picture obviously before and after. And 44,000 views as ich fange in the video. Da heute ich noch mal gepost. Sach comments, 1,000 comments. The oilem is mit him and gegen him, you know, the regular usual. But lass mal reingehen hier in the video. Lass mal sehen, was hat sie verkauft.
Been one with Andrew Gold. I've got Joseph Kraus here, and Joseph, well, he'll tell us, of course, but he grew up in one with Andrew Gold. I've got Joseph Kraus here, ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities. I'm Jewish myself. I'm particularly interested in all of these kinds of worlds and things, and Joseph left that community, and that was very, very difficult, I think, and difficult on the outside, as it often is once you're on the outside. So we're going to talk about all of that. Joseph, yeah, why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about the community you grew up in, what it's called in particular, because I know there's a few different kinds, and how it's different compared to what people might be used to.
Okay, so I grew up in Kiryas, and it's a small village in upstate New York, and it's the Satmar community, and they also have another part of that community in Brooklyn, but the one in Kiryas upstate is much more strict and especially much more basically locked up. There's literally a fence around the...
By the way, the word literally meint hand, nicht literal. So meint keili says du avant.
Thing, and nobody really leaves, you know.
But ich muss agree, as du has some form of mental wand versus physical gate, you know, so do cults, was haben eine echte gate in sich, man lässt sich raus, und do guards. Do is mehr a mental type of game.
So that's where I was all my life, and I've never been, even though I was only maybe an hour away from the city, I've never really been to the city, and if I was only in one little circle in the city and never really saw the world. So a lot of people have a hard time understanding that, because on my birth certificate, it says I was born in Manhattan, but whatever, I'm a U.S. citizen, maybe third generation, but yet I left a couple years ago, so I'm speaking English, but at first I couldn't speak, but I still cannot read and write and very basic things. Even how simple street works, I didn't know to get to the studio to record. I didn't know how to navigate the GPS. Everything.
Ich weiß nicht, sucht liegen du, oder tryt herauszubringen a point, als is nicht street smart oder book smart, because GPS, weiß ich schon nicht. Ich kann schicken an locations, but ich verstehe beirre von wie kommt.
It is a struggle to do, and especially financially, you know.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing as well. I think there's a stereotype about Jewish people. Jewish people have lots of money or whatever, and it's horrible. And I spoke to someone yesterday who's an academic in ultra-Orthodox communities, or he left as well, Zalman Newfield. And so he was talking about how that's a total myth, and you just hear about the very, very rich ultra-Orthodox Jewish people, but it's very difficult without the right training and background to then go into business and work with the rest of the Western world. So you say you've only recently learned English, but your English sounds there's always a slight accent, right? But it sounds pretty fluent. I mean, surely you must have known some growing up.
Not really. It's hard to explain. Like a lot of things, including English. Some things like I would know it maybe even better than other people, but then very basic things I wouldn't know. So I don't know. I think also Jewish people are, I don't know, maybe this is like stereotyping, but like smart. Like we are in school like 14 hours a day, you know? So we are very academically active. So maybe that sharpens a person's brain to later be able to pick up faster stuff. But that's not really, it's the same thing like saying Jewish people are rich. It's nothing.
I got to push back here. Wegen der Jewish rich. Man lebt auf a higher level. Let's be honest. Jeder einer dir is trying to get onto the next level. Nicht, dass this is a problem, but sin ich du, wo ist the lowest level wo die kennst?
Is no thing is cut and clear on any racial group. Like actually growing up, I was told like a lot of things which kind of makes you brainwashed to want to stay in the community. Like for example, one time the principal of the school was yelling at students who were misbehaving, saying you're acting like the Schoidem from Harlem. And it means like it's basically like a negative. It's not the N word, but it's like a negative way of saying
Black
like
people.
Yeah. So I used to think like, you go to Harlem, I'm gonna probably die. But I was in Harlem a couple times. I just moved to the city, and it's perfect. It's beautiful. So, yeah.
Ich weiß nicht, sie gerecht zu sagen, the Magachiri sind ganzen wrong. Again, man darf es nicht sagen, but
Yeah, I forgot where I was going with this, but
No, but it's a really good point, because that is something very typical to sects and cults and things where, you know, the outsider is the bad guy. Of course, it's not just cults that have been denigrating black people for years in Harlem and stuff like that. And then you know, I haven't been there, but you say it's fine. So yeah, that's a very particular thing that's done to keep people in their cult.
But let's be honest, when die parks dan kar in Harlem, is it less safe than some other neighborhoods.
And so what kind of things were going on, I suppose, as a child, aside from this fence, which sounds crazy? I never heard of this fence that's around this place. What kinds of things would be
Well, there's no real fence. I hope you understand that.
strange for us, but to you at the time felt normal?
I have to give a real disclaimer about the fence. There isn't that much a physical fence. There is a bigger fence than a physical, which is an emotional fence. But actually, I like to say that there's a fence, because when people don't hear there's a fence, they don't think. But it's not a lie, because technically in the Jewish religion, there needs to be a eidov, so you're able to carry something on Shabbos, whatever. It's a complicated thing. But technically, there is actually a fence that you can.
What? Okay, totally out of line though. Eidov, gate, he killed it there.
Can hop it over, but there is a small fence.
It's like a
Hop over. This is a wire. Okay, they have man. Nish kan yid, nish kan goy. Let's be honest.
wire.
A wire, but like a fence. Like if there's an overpass, it will be a wire, but around the whole Kirjol, there's actually a fence. But it's a very easy fence to jump over. You know, it's not like the Mexico border.
But psychologically, it's very difficult. For people who don't know about that, that's Friday nights and on Saturday until the next sunset on Saturday. Jewish people are not supposed to do any work. If you go to Israel, which I've done many times, you have to get into a lift or an elevator that just goes on every floor, so you don't do the work of pushing the button for the particular floor. And there are sometimes these wires or fences and things around certain areas that allow you to do specific things, which is so strange, but it sort of works with modern technology. So you can push a pram, or I don't know what's the word in American for pram, like a thing with a baby in it.
Carriage.
There's an American word for it. You don't say pram. I can't. What is it? Trolley or something? I don't know. Yeah, but you can push the thing.
Is he not listening to him? Weiß nicht, was du sagst wie carriages? What's wrong with that guy?
With a baby in it, and that's okay because there's the fence and the white. Is that right? Am I getting this right about what the fence is?
See?
Yeah. So I don't know, but all these Jewishness, especially in the ultra Orthodox, there's so many headaches and they get stuck on the details. Actually, original Hasidism, right, started as a movement because that's what I understand, right? 200-300 years ago, Judaism was so tight, you know, everything was so stupid. Like, you basically lost the point. Like, a lot of things in the religion, in any religion, starts off with something that makes sense, a concept, right? Okay, like, let's say with modesty, right? Like woman and man, like certain things, but then the boundaries becomes weird, and then you completely lose the point and you're completely off track from what you originally want to accomplish, and it just becomes extremism. So the same thing is with Judaism. Like, it was very, like, you know what I mean by tight? Like, very, like,
Stop saying
like a person with a broom up his ass, you know?
Yeah.
What's with the like? Like, ich meine, ich habe ein prejudice of him. I don't know. I'll check myself later.
It's like do you know what obsessive compulsive disorder is?
Not really.
It's a disorder, you know, when you feel like you have to keep touching things. You touch the light switch on and off, and some people, they feel they
like
have to
OCD,
do that.
yeah.
That's what it is. That's the long word for OCD. So that's what I sometimes think of with some types of Hasidic Judaism.
Yeah, so they completely lost the point. Judaism, I'm thinking, I might be wrong, but that's what I understand, right? Like 300 years ago. So came somebody, started this Hasidim movement. And by the way, I think a lot of people always ask me, here's the answer, what Hasidism is all about, in my opinion, right? How it started. And he said, you know, it's not about all the OCD and being so crazy about everything, like the elevator, like that wasn't the original point. The original point of Shabbos probably was just a day off to relax, right?
Yeah.
God rested on the 7th day, so chill. It wasn't about make your life harder, right? I think. So it came this guy, he said, let's make...
So he doesn't know. Weiß nicht. Sucht, was tracht. But can say wrong.
Make a new version of I know a lot of people back then, 300 years ago, was very anti. Most Jews were very anti-Hasidism. It was almost like Hasidism was the rebellious movement. But as time came by, they saw that was the only way that Judaism was going to survive. Because in order to survive, you need to become really extreme. So, you know what I mean? So I guess that's how it started. But they completely, but like moving forward, 300 years later now, whatever, when Hasidism started, they also lost the point. They're like completely off. It started off to be... Back in the day, they were all focused on learning a lot, like 60 hours a day, like learning and being like very like Litvish people, maybe. I don't know.
Man, and so then when your upbringing...
Wow, genommen a couple of Wörter, herangelegt in a Blender, in gemacht auf High. Like, ich verstehe seinen Point, aber I don't know. Sehr leidig, the arguments.
Then when you're a child, like... What? Yeah, I guess I'm just going back to that. What were the kinds of things that were just like, to you was normal, but was quite weird?
To me, it was normal, but it was quite. I don't. Like,
Schakelen a lille venesrik, draaien a chicken hecher dan kop, trugen einmal a woch, meeg man ja trugen was do our wire in a town. That's what he means.
Stuff that felt normal to you because you were a child who grew up in this.
Guy met a hit and rekel, then certain days guy met a hit and bekketje.
Community, but for other people who are not from the community, this would be like, hey, what are they doing? That's different. You know, what kinds of things were they?
I don't know. After I leave, sometimes I say stuff that we used to do and people laugh, and I don't know. But when
But that happens in every culture. In jeder Platz wie die Geister weg. Die kommen von India, die kommen von Argentina, Australia, alle mine types of ways of living. In die Geister zweite culture, they're always going to see and sort of not understand.
I grew up, first of all, I didn't really see the rest of the world. So that's all I knew, right? I never had to, growing up until I was like 18 years old when I left. I'm 20 right now. I didn't know anything else, right? So, yeah. So, but, in there, everything was normal. That's all I knew. I mean, I knew things was crazy, but I thought the world is crazy. Whatever. This is all I know. If you grow up in a prison, you only know the prison, right? That's what you think is. This is normal. Prison, crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what kinds of things then? Like, I guess you had to. What are they called? The hair that you grow on the side?
The pious.
Yeah. What was that for?
I don't know. That's just something they do at 3 years old. Maybe it comes.
Just by the way, ich will stam sagen, du als a kleine Note. Die sind an der Pirates fin nicht masber sein, gur nicht. Nicht kann Jid, nicht kann Goy. Es ist nicht so, wie ich mache weg sein Arguments, oder hat real philosophical arguments und hat das durchgetracht. Weiß nicht immer, was man geht mit Pius. Kennt nicht Jugend, was man geht. Man fängt bei der 3. Sucht das wie a Play. This is the biggest problem, was es do. Sucht das wie a Masse. Bei der 8 Tag schnarrt man der, bei der 3 Tag like man Pius. Verwusst und verwem, weiß nicht, was der Rebbe gesagt. But that's wrong. That shows you how leidig man is.
Originally originally the Bible says don't cut off the end of your hair, but eventually none of these things really goes back to an original commandment or original meaningful reason. It's just, that's why it is, and we don't think about it, and we just kind of went extreme and looking weird and acting weird and doing fucked up things.
What kinds of things made you feel different and maybe that you might want to leave?
Growing up, there was a lot of things, not everything I can talk about right now, but there was a lot of pain, a lot of restrictions, a lot of criticism, you know, like every movement in your life is controlled, like controlled how you think, what you do, how you eat, there's so many rules, so many things, you know, and there's only one framework within the community of how your life needs to be shaped, and nobody can go a little bit different, even within Judaism. So, you know, they're even anti-Israel. So
do Achillik, he's making a mistake between Judaism as a whole and then a group from Hasidim or Litvische or different parts of it claiming stuff. I'm not taking away as prison. They got that whole thing. I'm not taking away. It's just two different perspectives. You know, kannst uven Hasidism, but yet still be a Jew. Es ist gerecht, oder we're not onto that topic. Es ist nicht. We're just on the topic wie mischt zusammen Hasidus, Mishegassen, mit der Teure. It's like a whole mishmash. Like put everything in a blender and just on. But so kijkt das aus. Man reikt daran a Kinder nach Heider für 12 Uhr, 13 Uhr. Und lernt sich gut nicht aus. Man lernt mich ausziehen kennenlernen. So why would his mind turn? By the way, ich wusste dann was du. So du hast gesagt wie a Haka Dance in Australia. Es ist in andere Mina countries. So just daran do in the mitten. Just wasn't the difference between andere Menschen and ins sometimes. This is considered normal. Okay, just want to say, when these days there's the erste Mal, I would also freak out. Like, wow, what's this? But bazai des an normale Sache. Des auch die Sache, was man da verstehen. Ich meine, trying zu verstehen. Als was bei dir normal, meint nicht, als es normal bei der zweiten, weil es ist wrong. Could be it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, es ist nicht, dort nicht der Zeiger, wo es warst. Oh, das ist nicht normal, weil a zweiter in Australia doesn't seem to think this is normal.
It's like there's only one way, and that's the way. There's no other way. You're gonna have to live your life that is preset. Before I was born, everybody already knew how it's gonna. When I'm 3 years old, they're gonna shave my head. I'm actually shaved right now, but even more, like I'm bald shaved.
But nicht geshaved an Kopf, man genitzt that 000. Now, ich weiß, ich stelle mich on the wrong thing, but es ist a big difference, wenn man nimmt a shaver, a razor, und man raist dem Kopf, man geht a 000. So do a kleine Chilik.
And leave two long things like that, make me look weird, and put a big black yarmulke on my head, and then go to school, be there 18 hours a day, and all the crazy things is gonna happen. Not
Something with the numbers are off. 60 Schuhe a Tag, 18 Schuhe a Tag. Again, ich mach nicht weg the certain points. Ich agree mit them. But I just want to show, als man nicht verdurst a Jidorten oder a Fila Goy. Weißt, wie uneducated is. It's just a reflection von Monroe.
not getting a proper secular education, and or anything, like not knowing how to read and write. You get 13 years old, you're gonna have your bar mitzvah, you're gonna have to start putting on the wires on your hands, and
Wires on the hand. Oh, wow. Wow. Jetzt, I just want to say, ich nehme mich nicht von der andere Seite, like from the opposing side from him. It's just redt sie einem, was hat gunische Team mit der Welt. Und wenn du suchst dem Wires, meint physical wires. Nimmst der extension wire, and die likes es him. Now, the right way would be, you put on tefillin, and tefillin are from cow, verloren word, haut, no, skin, made into certain boxes, and they have leather straps, and man like that off. Man kann herangehen in die Sachen, schöner. A viele man gleibt nicht in dem, oder die Hals ist kalt. There's a way how you explain it. Now, ich verstehe, ob redt ja zweite Jid, sein Level Jid, verstehe ich die Idee, wie man sagt, man hat uns geheißen unten Wires. I get that. But wenn die redt sie ein draußendiger Mensch, der Mensch meint, dass man geht ran zu Home Depot, man kauft Extension Wire, und man literally likes set off of the hand.
that's it. And then you're gonna have to get married when you're 18.
That's not it, wenn die bis 13 in Bar Mitzvah. It's also not educated, das ist terrible. It's terrible. Now, let me explain what Bar Mitzvah meint. Bar Mitzvah is mostly an idea that you go from being a kid going into becoming sort of an adult. Sei in the Yiddische Welt, Jonathan hat auch Burgsche Patrani, to alleviate himself of all the sins that you're doing, and his job is so-called done, and you're going on your own. It's like taking off the training wheels from the bike. Man nimmt op the autopilot. Die fuhrst jetzt allein. Hast du kein learner's permit for the car? That's the idea. He's like missing so many points. So es do cultures, was man like that off, in order to be werden sort of a kind, an adult, macht man alligator cuts of their back. Man nimmt a blade and man cut thousands kleine cuts, and se kiekt aus wie a alligator in the back. Lass mal sehen, ich kann treffen a picture davon, but that's how they, man macht 1,000 cuts, and se hielt sich, and se kiekt aus wie a alligator, and darf übertanzen 10 cows or 10 bucks to show off that he's a man. In deze dezelfde zaak, but he's totally missing the point. Redt also wie a zweiter, was weiß schon alles, und weiß, ja, mit den Wires, mit Gassen bei der 18. Stamma sagen, sich gibt Masber.
And maybe you're gay, maybe you're not gay, but you're gonna still have to, maybe the girl's a lesbian, but you're still gonna have to get married.
Ein second. Just want to show you was gemeint. See this? Cuts to the body, becoming a man. So ich meine, a hit mit bias is nicht so terrible compared to them.
And you're gonna have 20 kids, pop a baby each year until it's like not possible anymore. Like not psychology, like biology. Like how many babies can a woman have? Like yeah, my great grandma, a Holocaust survivor, her name was Jutta Schwartz. She had like at her funeral 3,000 descendants. Yeah. Wow. So I think she was the biggest Holocaust survivor with, and everything. I'm going to say Yiddish expression. I don't know how to say it in English, but growing up all the time I hear the word saying "Anatzuchen" and it means victory in Hitler. Okay, so it's.
Whoa.
Have you ever heard? Yeah, when people say, they want you to lose, right? Like they don't want the haters, right? So, but then you like laughing at it, like, yeah, see, I told you, like. So I actually have a YouTube channel, right? And this is actually the time to properly say. So everybody go check it out. So there's a lot of haters though over there from Hasidic people. Like they don't have internet, but there's still some. Like if you look at the comments, like a lot of people are hating, whatever. So what did I want to say? Oh, Natsuchen and Hitler, right? So like if a person gets a lot of hate, sometimes you want to show them. You know, my English is not good. I'm thinking of a lot of expressions, but I don't know how to say it in English.
It sounds great, man.
Yeah, you get the point.
Hear this.
Of expressions, but I don't know how to say it in English.
In
Sounds
English.
great, man.
Yeah, you get the point, right? So you're trying to give like a victory, like the last laugh, right? So growing up, everything that happened, everything that was done was said and Natsuchen and Hitler means Hitler, you lost. You wanted to kill all the Jews. He killed 6 million. You thought Judaism was going to be gone after that, right? But here we are. So that's why they had so many kids. That's why they have such a strict religion, to keep everything. So, because like I said, only extremism, well, in a way, survives. Like that's why when you turn on CNN, it's extreme on one way. You turn on Fox News, it's extreme on another way. Nothing is neutral nowadays. You know, if you want to keep your party, if you want to keep your community, you want to keep people thinking a certain way, you need to go on the extreme. So unfortunately, there's a lot of victims on any place, whether it's Amish community, whether it's Hasidic Jewish community. You know, I don't know too many others, but I'm sure the world has a lot of problems bigger than this. But
yeah, you should watch this channel. You should watch this channel. We've got Jehovah's Witnesses, some parts of Mormonism. There are quite a few different groups. Scientology is one of them. The one Tom Cruise is.
By the way, Scientology is where I actually met Andrew Goltz, his channel.
And that's a really interesting point you make, that they sort of became a lot more extreme after the Holocaust, almost in defiance of Hitler, in defiance of that. And now it's just so like filled with anxiety and like everything is so tight now.
Yeah, and I'll go back to, I didn't finish the point. My grandmother, she had 3,000, like, how many kids? I think she had, I don't want to say the wrong name, but maybe 20 kids. She even had a kid who died. And this is after the Holocaust, right? I think she had like kids before the Holocaust and all the kids died, and then she started, or maybe not, whatever. But yeah, a lot of people had to start over again. But she had the biggest family.
Can I finish the history from this family? And by the way, this is not this is not a diss against him personally. This is a diss gegen de Mahalach. Mat keimul nicht masber gewein gunish, mat nicht gekannt reden, mat nicht verstanden. Again, I know they didn't have the answers, but also kiekt das aus. Weiß nicht an eigene family, wo an Baba gehad, nothing. Just rumors and Sachen, Hitler, Menschen, Gehar, getraint, Rebbe, boom, berabim.
When she died, right? So, but every time when she came to my, let's say, yarmulke, it's called the Upshin, when you get the curls and everything, she most likely said, and Natsuchen and Hitler. That was my goal. Here we go. We rebuilding. So everything that was done in pain. So why am I saying this? I don't know, but maybe that's part of how you can't really judge him. You asked me to talk about, like, there's a lot of anti-Semitism. So, and there's a lot of, like, the New York Times wrote an article about this and about how there's not education. I was part of that article, and it's very important. But there's also a lot of hate, which I don't disagree with that. And if you want to see a defense, here's your defense, maybe, because Hitler. So, but that's not really an excuse because somebody was just traumatized. There's a lot of veterans from any war, and they don't have that excuse to abuse their kids like that.
The difference between that is a veteran is a soldier that goes in and and somebody that systematic wanted to kill you and your family and your whole being and your whole ideology, that's a different situation. Again, ich nehme mich weg. They could have been better, you know? Man kann ganze therapy, man kann talken, man kann mehr Maß besagen für die Kinder. But they didn't have the answers.
Oh yeah, I was a veteran in World War II, so now let me go abuse my kids for 5 generations. I've never heard of that.
But they did. People in the military that saw crazy stuff came back and they did abuse their kids because they saw crazy stuff and their kids didn't understand. Abuse is not aruga like on the Jews. Please. Everybody. Happens to be that 80 years ago, they put in some grandparents in ovens, and some they shot, and some they walked. Walked to death marches, and then labor camps, and 6 million. So I think it's appropriate to say that we understand that they have trauma. Doesn't give them right to traumatize, to abuse others. Does not. But I can see from where they're coming from, at least.
It helps us to understand, though, doesn't it? Where it's an entire community who was taken away because of who they were, and then they try to. That happens with all minorities, where they maybe not veterans as such, because they're quite disparate, like different people, and they're not always, but they do form a community, veterans, and so they should. But I suppose when it's a minority of sorts, they do often come together and they try to be stronger together and to push people on the outside away. But then, as you've said, it can cause some very intense things. So I think it's possible to warn people against being anti-Semitic because of the actions of these people, and they only make up a small percentage of Jews anyway. But also, we should be able to criticize the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. And if I don't know who's gonna listen to this or how much, but if it ends up going viral or whatever, this is a very important thing with education. People don't realize, like, I think I've seen the statistics by 2030, right? Which is like in a couple of years, they're gonna be 30% of New York City public school system is gonna be Hasidic kids, right? And New York City has the biggest, school system of the whole U.S. So there are a big percentage, like even from Jews, the community grows so fast. They maybe only started with like 500 people 75 years ago after the Holocaust, but that was their goal, to victory against Hitler, one of their goals, right? That's at least a word that I've heard a lot, and I'm sure my father and grandfather growing up heard every single day. So they grow. I've heard that the Hasidic community doubles every 15 years. So if they have they're very big.
Lass mal sehen, sie kennen the math. Again, ich hake ihm nicht, because ich kenne auch nicht math, but this was the education. Ich kann education, I kenne es nicht, and du gehst trying to make math.
But still very small right now, right? They're not even like 1 million people. Maybe there are just 1 million when you calculate every single person. But if you have 100,000 people now in 15 years, you have 200,000, then 400, then 1 million, then once you reach high digit numbers, before you know it, New York is going to be another Israel.
Except not Israel, because they hate Israel, these guys. But that is, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the things that's worrying about Israel itself, because these guys often, the Hasidic people in Israel vote a lot more right wing. And then they don't have to go to the army, but they enforce that the rest of the very secular community in Israel has to go to the army. But I was just fact checking what you said about the 30%, because it seems insane. But I'm reading here in Times of Israel that Yafed, and it's not New York, it's Brooklyn, which is part of New York, of course, a big part of New York. An organization pushing for reforms in the yeshiva system has projected that by 2030, 30% of Brooklyn school children will be ultra-Orthodox, nearly all of whom study in yeshivas. That can't be all Brooklyn children. It must be 30% of Jewish kids.
No, Brooklyn. Listen, it's already like this. Come to New York City and you will see they're everywhere, right? So I'd say it will be another Israel. It will be another Jewish state. Why do you think they're against Israel? I don't know. Maybe because they didn't want other.
Just imagine Kim Monroe in a weiß nicht, was is against Israel. That just should show you a reflection. Gewähnt, weiß 50 Jahre, man kann dir sagen, alle Neginen, was man gesingen, aber kann dir nicht sagen, konkret, für was. Diese gerecht sind nicht, sie haben mal like to stand on, that's a different conversation. The conversation is, weiß dafür nicht, für was ist gegen Israel. Hat keine Education. Man hat gesagt, mitgesingen in Neginen, und dort hat sich das geendigt.
People to join Israel. They wanted to keep, even from Israel, they wanted to keep their own Israel. Back then, they were so small, like 50 years ago, so all you can do is be anti-Israel. But give it another 20 years and they're gonna try to take over New York, which they've kind of already. Like every politician, if they want to win in New York State, if they want to win a seat in Congress or in Senate from New York State, you need to have the Hasidic elections. Otherwise, you're not gonna win. They're so big, and they vote very strongly, right? And they have no idea about politics. The rabbi tells 500,000 people, everybody needs to go vote for Governor Cuomo. Yeah. Okay, everybody follows like a sheep.
That's a lot of power in the hands of...
True. A black vote. Was kann man tun? Der Rebbe kommt raus und man da voten Row A, punchen alle Frauen und Männer Row A.
One or two rabbis, isn't it? We've got to be careful, though, Joseph, not to be seen to be saying, which we're not, that Jews are trying to take over whatever, you know, because of the stereotypes and...
No, that's not what I'm saying. See, I'm just saying, so why am I saying this? I'm saying because we need to be careful and make sure that the problems are being taken care of now when we still can and when it's still easy, and also, you know, it's always better to take care of a problem faster. But once they grow, it's going to be harder to take care of it. They're going to be more powerful. Now, I'm not saying even if the entire New York State is Jewish populated, there's still 50 other states. There's still a whole country. The conspiracy of Jewish people controlling the world is bullshit. It's anti-Semitic. It's wrong to say. And I totally don't agree with that. With that being said, there is some problems within the Hasidic community. It's like saying Christians control the world and blah, blah, blah. And then you have this little Amish community somewhere in Pennsylvania. They did nothing. Like, right? Like Amish don't represent like Christianity or whatever. It's just good old fashioned anti-Semitic stuff that people try to doing, and it's wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's something that, I mean, the first people to be scared of this are Jews themselves. I mean, just like Christians might be the first to be affected by any kind of extreme version of Christianity, the extreme versions of Judaism. I mean, I don't want people thinking that I'm somehow related to this. And now that you've left, Joseph, I don't think you want people thinking of you in that way. And we're both Jewish people, and I don't like the image that it shows to the world. At the same time, I've had a lot of the same people that you've had, you know, the haters or whatever. I've had some very angry people messaging in and saying it's anti-Semitic to criticize that community. Look, what is, if you could, and it's not easy to do, I know, but if you could sum it up in like a minute, what is so bad about having to grow up the way you grew up? What was just so people
a minute is gonna for just because of the way they express
understand.
I didn't really prepare with keynotes to say and over emotional, but it's everything. Like people always ask me, why'd you leave? Is there one thing that happened? No, it's a list of millions of things. Every single thing. It's just so horrible. People live in pain. You know, like hate.
So you left because other people live in pain?
Every minute of their life in there. Everything is controlled. They don't agree with anything that's happening in their life, and they have no other choice other to just nod their head and be like, yes, I agree. I'll do as you said. Yes, master, whatever. And there's nothing they can do. You know, take the beating, and that's it. So
I want to put it in different words. When you grow up in the community, and whenever you feel like you don't belong, you want to leave. When you want to leave, you start realizing that all the things they have kept from you is now a struggle in the outside world. There are people that know how to assimilate right away. Their English is good, or even they don't have English, they have confidence. They have other things going for them. Not everybody that leaves has this problem, but a big part of people that leave are now cripples in the outside world. They don't know what's normal. They don't know all these types of things. Give an example. Yossel Waldman again in court, and they were talking about someone coming over, and Yossel Waldman had expressed, kommt rüber jede Montag und Donnerstag. Person that writes everything off, in the court, vergessen the Nummern, that types everything up, every word said, that is said, schreibt Monday and Thursday. Später, I guess, sucht man ihm, als ist umgekommen, Dienstag, fragt the judge, but you said Monday and Thursday. So Yossel was trying to explain, Montag und Donnerstag meint jeden zweiten Tag. So meint nicht Montag und Donnerstag. So the same thing in the outside world, when you get outside from your community, all the things they didn't teach you are now blockages. And this is the problem when you leave. And by everybody plays out different. You don't have one specific way how you leave. Everybody has their hurdles, And then usually when something goes bad, it's like a domino effect of bad things, and then your anger takes over, and you're young. You can't really express yourself to anybody else because nobody really knows what's going on. And you start going down a spiral, and then it's called life.
And they're not really equipped with anything to leave, because if they leave, they're like stepping in.
Shine a haircut. Why did he shave his head? I guess a new start. A new fresh start.
To a jungle. They cannot speak English, read and write. They don't know anything about the world. When you leave, you're gonna lose your family, your friends, everything. And also the community is brought up in a very high standard, like quality of life, and a little bit kind of like high quality to make you feel like shit when you leave.
So do you agree that as we do live a higher lifestyle? So that means the Jews do have the money. Because how do you have a higher lifestyle if you don't have the money? Overall, ich weiß, as I do people that don't have money that are broke. But overall, the standard, where broke starts is other people's Gan Eden, as they say, heaven.
Little change, and also high quality as in community. Like outside world maybe isn't that much of a community. People are more like independent, right? Like but over there they get you used to community very strong, and when you lose that, it's a big shock. You're like, wow, so there's no more community.
I want to add to this, it's terrible. Religion is eine Sache, community is a zweite Sache. A whole nother thing. Humans need community. We are animals, and animals need a group to work together. Religion is something you choose, or in other end, it's a lifestyle. Bist geboren darin, you're born into it, or you don't want to, you choose to be in it. Religion has hijacked community. It became one. Now, if somebody says, you know what, I can't take this religion anymore, I want to leave the religion, automatically means you're leaving community. And that's terrible, because humans die from community, especially if somebody was born in a community. So now, when you go outside and you find yourself without a community, life is not easy. You don't know what life is. Life hits you. Everything is a surprise. Aber dich nicht getraint zu sein, ein normaler Mensch, nicht a Yid, nicht a Goy, then you're like totally lost in, it's a blank thing. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how to act. You don't know how to respond. Weiß nicht, was is considered normal. So, it's a problem. Man darf die zwei Sachen zurück detachen. Wegnehmen Religion from community. Es ist schwer. It's not an easy fix. It's not something that goes like that. But it's something we should strive for. Man kann sehen, die Menschen, die haben Kinder, die sind angefahren, but the Tata und Mama sind noch geblieben mit sei. They still have the sense of community. You can see in them that they still have something. They're not the same. They don't look the same. They don't behave the same. But sie do understanding. Sie verstehen sich.
It's not that there isn't. You need to figure it out, which I still am. Figure out where in this world, there's this whole world, right? I'm working to get my Swiss citizenship right now from my father at I think after the Holocaust. That's actually where the Satmar Rabbi escaped, right? The Kofal of Kislev. So
who's that? Ay, 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 ay. Hear this, Nachumel. And kick Look at this face.
My rabbi escaped, right? The Kofal of Kislev. So
Who's that?
the grand rabbi, Joel Teitelbaum, that's like Curious Joel is named after him.
Oh, right. What did he do?
No, I think so. After by the Holocaust, he escaped from the Nazis.
He didn't escape from the Nazis. He was put on a train where Zionist was controlling. See, again, he doesn't even know the basics. And again, this is not a reflection on him. He doesn't even know the basics of Satmar. He doesn't know the basics.
To Switzerland.
Oh, right.
So somehow I'm a Swiss citizen. I don't know how, but I don't have it yet. I'm working on getting it, but I probably will be able to get it. Yeah. So because, you know, Jews never know what happened. Because technically, I'm not a Jew. I don't identify. I'm an atheist, right? But I guess if I take a DNA test, it will say 100% Ashkenazi Jew, right? So you never know. I've experienced anti-Semitic stuff towards me, even though I keep saying I'm not Jewish, but they say you have an accent. Where you're from? So I said, that's where I'm from, but I don't like that people. They're like, you're still Jewish. So I'm still going to get the hate from the anti-Semitic people sometimes. So yeah, it's always good to have another.
There's the problem with Zana Yid. Because if you're an American or a German or a European and you leave that country, you know, die glaubst nicht in Gott, you're still a German, you're still American. But Yid, even if you decide not to buy into that religion anymore, du bist considered a Yid. Bist a atheist Yid. It's a very funny twist. Ich weiß nicht, wieso es arbeitet, you know? Man kann nicht handläufen von der Jiddischkeit.
Citizenship. I forgot why I got into the citizenship topic.
You're absolutely, you're right. It's necessary if you're from a minority that needs to be protected in some case.
He went into the thing of saying about Swiss is because oib man geht noch einmal turnen on the Yid, geht laufen zu Swiss, weil man hat ihm gesagt, that Swiss is a neutral state, and bei der Milchome, he's going to run there, and he's going to be citizenship, they're going to let him in.
It's really, you need to be able to go to places in case bad things happen. I did one of those tests, and I'm 95 or 96% Ashkenazi Jewish. And then there was like some other stuff like Iberian, which is Spanish Portuguese, and I was like, where the hell is that? I don't know if we have like a Spanish milkman that I didn't know about or something that met my mum. No, that didn't happen. And then I don't know. So you get all these different things. I don't know. Hey, when you were younger growing up, was there stuff like the matchmaking? Were you supposed to go with a certain girl or something like that?
Yeah, I left at 17, right before I turned 18. So that was the age that I would have been told, hey, here's the girl. Make 20 babies. Build the community. Let's go.
Oh, wow. Yet he has a point, and yet he is wrong at the same time. Is du Menschen, wenn man call tun, immer sagt, hello, yes, come home, you're engaged. There are some stuff. I have a friend that we used to be friends, saying back in the day, he got married that way. I don't know him particularly, kann ich kein English, did not have that. I don't think so. I don't know his family, but it depends on the family. It's not overall the same thing. And usually, how does an 18-year-old kid know what's good for him, especially in the community? He doesn't. So he relies on his parents. Hopefully, you know, it's a gamble.
So,
did you have any like girlfriends that you were able to choose to go out with or to...
No, I didn't know nothing about sex at that point, anything. I just know at 18 years old, that's where the average age when you get married, or at least you start looking. By 20 years old, most people in there are married. That's how they're able to build a community very rapidly. They would get married even younger if they could, but the law doesn't allow. But there's actually like, see now, because the community is so big, there's already subgroups. So like, in upstate in Liberty, New York, they have a community called Breslov, Yoli Road. And he makes people, he said his goal is to make people married as young as 13 years old. And he constantly has people get married under 18. So 13.
I don't know if he's showing the whole picture. I think by 13, they say, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying by 13, I think they say that guy is going to marry that girl, which in the whole world was normal until, I'm just going to say 100 years. And it's still normal in some parts of the world where your father tells you you're going to marry that guy. Arranged marriages. Irrelevant if it works or it doesn't, or agree if it doesn't agree. It's not a pointed out. It's not a direct thing. Dafka Inc. Only the Jews do that. No.
13 is his goal. So telling a 13-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, or different age groups, a 13-year-old girl maybe, I don't know. I don't know the actual marriages in this community, but he already has hundreds of followers, right? Maybe a 13-year-old girl with a 25-year-old man. That will probably seem good to him. I don't know, but
it's really scary, that stuff. So that was.
He just threw that in without even, knowing a story. If there is a story like that, that's sick. But threw it in, hyperbolic movements.
Okay, so you didn't have to have the matchmaking stuff. You didn't know about that. Well, that seems crazy to me because teenagers, that's like in the outside world, it's so much what we talk about and we're obsessed with a girl or a boy or whoever it is and all of that stuff. So did you have to... Well, no, you know what? I'm skipping ahead. I want to go... What about your parents, your family? Did you have a good relationship with them or a bad relationship?
I never liked my parents. We're gonna talk about my family right now. So my parents are assholes. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Een second. Whoa. Einregen. Hey, waar stoot de laundry literally? What is the divorce rate in the U.S.? 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce. 50%. Divorce rate second marriage is even higher. So, I'm not saying that they should have arranged marriages and stuff like that. I'm just saying that it's not something crazy. It's the world worked like that for a very, very long time. It's only recently. But they're also slowly opening up. If a kid comes home and says, I don't want to marry this girl, there are people that would, say, okay, no problem, we'll go to the next one. They don't have a big variety selection because, it's a community. But again, it's an ishgit. There is arranged marriages could be creepy at some point. It could work out, but it's a 50-50. You get into it and you throw the dice, shoot the dice.
Sorry to say it, but like it is what it is. Yeah. Some people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're so rude to your parents. They're always your parents." But that's what it is. I was abused as a child by my parents. I probably should have called the CPS, but I didn't know their phone number. I didn't know how to talk to them. But yeah, I can tell you a lot of stories. I was locked out in the cold when I was a kid. I was beaten up by my father and everything. But it's not like,
That is crazy. Being locked out of your house, being beaten. Deze de results, Gevre. This is the results.
I just didn't like them. And they were always constantly fighting each other, and they were forced to be married because the rabbi told them they wanted to get divorced at one point. What I heard, they hid it from me, right? They told us that mommy's just going for a vacation with you for a couple of weeks until things clears out. But they were almost going to get divorced. That's how bad things were. And the rabbi's like, it's very rare to get divorced in there. And that's also part of the reason why I'm so lucky that I left right before I got married, because people who get married are a lot of times they want to leave, but they're already stuck. You're not going to be able to get your kids when you leave. It's very complicated, so you're already stuck. So, and divorce is very rare in there. So now this maybe is not, but still, it's like compared to the rest of the world, divorce is almost not happening in there.
That's not true. Although I know stories that people are, they're nudging everybody to stay married because man weiß dat je has 3 kinder. Who you gonna marry? Who wants to take you with 3 kids in all these baggage stories? And usually divorces are not nice. Kind of kennished meer via few people. Okay, let me rephrase this. How many people do you know that got divorced and everything went smooth? We're humans. They're gonna be fighting. So when you're listening to someone that wants to get divorced, you're gonna try to say, you know what? Let's work it together. Let's try to make it work versus trying to find someone else. Give an example. A few weeks ago, I was sitting somewhere and someone was explaining to me that his marriage is not good. He has 2 kids. He wants to leave. So I told him, and he's also from the community. And I asked him, how do you think it's going to work? You're going to divorce your wife. Okay. She's going to take the kids because they're like 3 and 5. What are you going to do? You're not going to stay the same. You're going to become more, you're going to be sliding outside of the community. You're not going to become frimmer. You're not going to become more frum. You're not going to join more. You're not going to wake up now 5 in the morning to run to Shiel. You're going to go more to the right side. She's going to make a fight with you with the kids. Not to see the kids, because the kids are going to be like, Mommy is frim and Tati is a goy. It's going to be back and forth. They're going to fight. After a few years, then you're going to find the girl. Welke girl gaat dich wel nemen? You're going to be exhausted. So the amount of effort you're going to put in, you might as well put in and have a good marriage. At least try. So I don't know if I agree that people don't get divorced. We have a whole Masechtas Gittin for that. A book that is written for divorcing. So I'm not, although I understand the point that we don't encourage getting right away.
So, yeah. So my parents were forced to stay together. And when they came back, when I was like maybe in 3rd grade, the only thing, they were constantly fighting. The only thing where they were united in their marriage, and fighting is very traumatizing, right? There's like chairs flying in the air and stuff, and I'm standing in the middle. The only thing that they were united on was on abusing the kids with religion. So every commandment, every law or every made up law from the religion, they would abuse me with and you know, just trying to make my life miserable. Not only my siblings and everything. So it was just a miserable life in there. And it's not, I didn't left only because my family, but my family is obviously part of it. I don't want to have anything to do with them, and they don't want anything to have to do with me. You know what I mean? So it's fine. I like it that way.
Do you think they were attempting to, because they couldn't control their own marriage, they were trying to control you guys, and like because the marriage wasn't going well, they were abusive to their children? Yeah.
The marriage didn't go well. I don't know what was wrong, like, but they got married in the first place not wanting to get married, right? So it's complicated, but there's so many things, like yeah, I've heard like a lot of things. So I don't know. I just know I never liked my family. I don't know why. There isn't one thing that I can tell you. You know, my father on one time took a knife and he started cutting off my throat. I can't really tell you that. I can tell you my father was running after me, beating me. Well, a lot of people can think that happened to them, but it happened like on a constant basis my whole life. When I was younger, I got beaten up more. When I got older, I was stronger, so I could run faster and kind of like fight back.
It makes me so angry to hear. I want to go and speak to your father. You know, I'm so angry by it.
And I'm not the only one. This is what happens in a lot of families. A lot of families, it happens. I don't know about the marriage, but the father is just abusive towards the kids in that way. And what I mean in that way, I mean in the religious. So you use religion as a weapon against you. You know, I'm trying to think of an example where people would use a certain thing to use as a stick to beat other people, you know, to abuse other people.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just like that's the excuse. It's somebody's an abusive person, and then religion is like the excuse to do it with. It's terrible that. And then so how was it, I guess, when you started? I mean, how did you tell them, hey, I'm out of here, you know?
I just okay, the story that I left, it's been a while. So I knew that I was gonna leave. I don't know, it just kind of happened slowly. It was on the off time from school, like on the holidays, and we didn't have a yeshiva for me to go and whatever. So and I already kind of knew I'm gonna leave. I'm so lucky that I left. You know, once you leave, even if you're out for 1 week, you see everything. You're like, hey, there's no way going back now, right? So I don't know. When I was 13 years old, I always knew I didn't agree with this. I'm gonna maybe leave, but the fact that I left, I don't know, something else could have happened. I would have stayed. and that would have been the rest of my, I don't know. Like, it's not like I know, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave. Like, most people don't leave, and I'm sure a lot of people, and I have friends, we talked, even people who believe less in everything, because at certain times in my life, I was fooling my own mind to believe in everything we were being told. But then I had friends who were like laughing. They're like, are you serious? You believe in this crap? Like, so
They stayed.
Yeah, and they're stayed, and they're married. They have kids now, right? They're getting married right now. I talked to some of
guys.
them, and yeah, they're already getting married and having kids. So they don't believe in it, and they continue the cycle, right? That's what it is. And the same thing with the abusing the kids. Like the Holocaust survivors, maybe they were abusing their kids because they were traumatized from the Holocaust, but then continuing on, at some point, there's no excuse anymore. So where was I going? Oh, when I left. So yeah, I slowly knew. So I talked to like, believe it or not, I didn't know who to call, but I thought it was if I was. So first I got a smartphone, and I got it. See, I don't know where long I didn't like. I don't remember. I keep like going back, but I think it started with me getting good with the taxi driver, like a non-Jewish taxi driver, and my parents didn't know. And I would go to a farm where I used to work when the school was off, and he would let me use his smartphone for a little bit.
Wow.
And like I used to talk. It was like a 30 minutes drive every day back and forth, and we talked a lot. And now thinking back, he was like probably like not even speaking good English. I don't know. He was from some country in whatever. So he had a so, and then he helped me, like it was crazy. And then I actually went the last year before I left. I was in Canada. That was when the COVID happened that year. I went to a school, a yeshiva in Canada, and then so I escaped Canada 2 weeks before the learning year ended. I couldn't take it anymore, and I left. I had a friend, and I told him my parents know that I'm coming home, but they didn't. So he took me home through the border. And you know how I got into Canada? So I don't know. I feel like people are going to get bored because the things doesn't make sense. I'm going like all over the place. But the way I got into the second time in Canada in the middle of the year. So you get, school break type of thing in the middle of the year, right? So the borders to Canada were locked, right? The COVID. How did I get in? A lot of Hasidic people, they did commercial vehicles, right? And smuggling. I got smuggled into Canada. So escaping to get into the US was easier, but it was still like locked down as 2019, right? 2020. So yeah, I got back 2 weeks early, and that's when I started. Like for that couple of weeks, I had a job a little bit over there, but I was already like completely, what is it called? Disassociate? Is that a word? Like,
yeah,
like disconnected, from the whole thing. Like that was the first time, like they have to fill in, right? That you wrap around your arms, the black wires. That was the first time that I stopped completely for weeks not putting it on. I never wanted to do that, even if I didn't believe it, because I just didn't want to break the cycle from the day I turned 13 to the day I stopped. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to break the cycle. Like a lot of times they say, even if you don't believe, you can't leave. You really, after everything that all the Jewish people have been through, you're going to now just leave? Like,
It's also called muscle memory. Since you're born until, let's say, he's 18, they tell him you have to put on tefillin, those black wires, as he calls them. It's something you look forward to doing. You want to see it. You want to feel it. And then when you turn 18 and even you don't believe in it, it's still muscle memory. You want to do the right thing, and your muscle in your brain tells you got to put it on. So that's what he means most probably, that even though you know that it's not true, or you have this belief that it's not true anymore and you left, you still want to do it to feel good, because that's the way how you know to feel good. That's the right way to do it.
Like millions of people died for this. Yes, I am going to leave. I don't care. I'm going to break the cycle,
They died for you to have freedom to choose. That's what they died for.
The same thing is in America right now. Like certain people are like, yeah, we died for you. I don't know what you died for. Like that's they want you to live a certain way, saying that I died. You didn't have to die. You know what I mean? Like that's not what I want to live. You know, you died for the wrong cause.
It's for you. It's for you to have the choice, I suppose. That's what it should be. That's what I think.
But not saying that people who died are not victims and whatever, and it's not sad. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's also part of life everywhere. People are dying, you know?
So you've gotten back from Canada to home, and then what? How do you tell the parents?
No, so those months and weeks, like, I don't know, I was already like completely, I didn't talk to my parents, and they already kind of give up. They saw the fight is over. I'm already like at this point, like, what was I, like 17? I was built. I used to have like even bigger muscles than right now and whatever. So it's just like they couldn't really it used to be always a physical thing. They would force me to do stuff, right? Do the thing.
I want to touch on the physical stuff. When you're young and you have your kids, you're stronger than them. But the problem is that when they get stronger, you lose the fight. So it's not a good hill to die on. It's not a good hill to go up because you know you're going to die there. Your kids are going to become stronger, and it's not a good tactic. And those 8 minutes playing out.
But it couldn't really been like that anymore. And yeah, and I already like talked, and I got a smartphone. I started like doing a little research on my little abilities, seeing, and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. And then I actually called a suicide hotline because I thought they were gonna. I was like, well, I'm gonna call the police 911 and say, hey, I have a question. Like, what would it be like if I leave? And like, can you? So, and I talked to like a really nice lady over there, and she helped me. She explained, like, I had these final questions, like, what will happen? Like, will anybody ever want to date with me or something like that? Because whatever. And whatever, she basically reassured me that, like, everything will be fine. Like, yeah, you can leave and whatever. And yeah, so in the meantime that I was talking to her, and like keep making sure, because for me, it kind of seemed like the mental fence. Like you need to escape, and even though there's no fence, like you need to just take off and escape. So in the meantime, she told me where I will be able to go buy clothing, and she helped me on the day to tell me where there's like a barbershop and whatever. So she sent me out with like a youth shelter, not far actually from where I lived, but like it was outside. I thought I already escaped complete New York. I didn't know. It was only like 30 miles from where I live, but it was in Middletown, New York, right? So it was far away. So,
Kann sein, als gemeint am Monroe de ganze Welt, und as Middletown ist schon bechlall nicht in Amerika. Like, welche country guys die?
So yeah, I got there. So in the meantime, all right, so I had a lot of money in the bank. I always save my money. And that's probably part of the reason, because I knew I was going to leave one day, and without money, you're effed, okay? You need to have a fund. So
I don't know what they taught him, but he knows for sure that he needs a fund and he needs money. You can take a kid out of Monroe, but you can't take the money out of the kid. Huh? Gewiss, was darf oben. Darf oben Geld, darf oben Funds. Dort hat nicht gekackt. Dort hat gewiss.
Oh, and now the money is dried out. But I saved up I said I worked in the farm. I did all my life. I worked really hard. I saved up the money. Now
his whole life. His whole 20 years.
I need to get the money. So it took me probably like a month or two to manipulate. I don't even remember. They wanted me to go to the Hasidic school and back to school and whatever, do this and that. So I told them, okay, so I want my money. I want to deposit it into a bank account. So that took a couple weeks. And then I said, oh, the bank says I need my ID. I need my passport. Like, can you please give me my passport? Okay. They said I need a social security number. No, they didn't actually say that, but I lied to them so I can get all my documents. the day that I got, and then, but in the meantime, it took months because like in the meantime, they painted our house. So you had to move to another place and they said, oh, it's in the safe. I couldn't be like, I need it right now. Like it's going to also get suspicious, you know, like why you have everything. Wait a minute. You have all your documents. That's the most important thing, right?
Oh, so this was, just to clarify, this was before you actually left and you were planning to leave?
Yeah.
Okay,
like the final steps. And then the day that I got, I think the last thing I got was my birth certificate. I had everything. So I had a check with all the money that I had. So that way, even if the check wouldn't work or like, it turns out I had to get another check from my father actually after that. Because it expired. I couldn't open a bank account until I turned 18 without parents. But that way I had proof. I could say, because he always took I gave him my money. He told me, you need to give me your money. I will save it for you, right? Now, how am I going to prove that I had a couple $1,000s and he needs to give it back to me, right? So I had a check. Then I can say, yeah, you know, that's what I was thinking. So, and I actually ended up getting it. So the day that I had all my social security card, my passport, my birth certificate, I think that's all I needed. I just took off and left. And yeah, I went to that shelter. I got a haircut and bought clothes. Yeah, and look at what I was wearing. I didn't know like anything about fashion. I just bought anything. I bought like girls' pants. I didn't know. I couldn't read whatever. Yeah. So
oh, man, that's
so crazy.
That's incredible to think.
That would be a little weird. I don't know where he bought it, but if you walk into Walmart and you see men and girls section, boys and girls section, I think you would know the difference. I just don't know where he bought it. He could have walked into a thrift shop and just picked up a first pants. That could make sense.
Does it make you emotional to think about those first few days? You were, what, 18 years old, suddenly out on your own and basically homeless? Yeah,
I was still, I think like 6 months to go to be 18. So I was still a minor. It was during the heavy part of the COVID. So first thing, all these youth shelters were on lockdown. It was crazy at first, you know?
Yeah.
The first part of my life, I've only been like 2 years, but the first part of it was very hard. It was because of the COVID added on to everything else. So anything I was trying to do was locked down and restrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that. The schools were still closed, right? So I needed an education, very importantly, and all the schools were closed.
It's incredible to think because, yeah, you didn't really speak the language. You didn't have the education and the tools and things. What do you do next? Where can you get a place to live and a job and things like that?
Well, the struggle continues. It's still not the happy part at the end of the story, but yeah, I'm seeing a great future ahead.
Okay, well that's good. Well, I mean, so what have you been doing like the last 2 years? Have you been able to find any work?
I've been having minimum wage jobs here and there. You know, yeah, I actually, very great news. I just got my real estate license.
Oh wow, cool! Congratulations.
Yeah. That may sound crazy. Like I don't know how to read and write, but yet I passed the real estate license. Part of it is because I was always listening to on the little hotlines that we're not allowed to real estate stuff. That's all I know. Like in that community is very real estate oriented. Like a lot of people do that. So, and yeah, I worked really hard. I got it. But I don't see really how I'm going to be able to cash it out. But I just got it. So I'm going to have to sign up with a broker or see. I don't know. But like, yeah, right now I'm really struggling. Like I don't have any money. I don't have anything. I don't have any education. So yeah, I mean, if anybody want to help me, I have social media. So can message me on Instagram.
We'll put links and things below the YouTube video to your Instagram and your YouTube as well, and anything else you want really. You want, I mean, you want work, right?
Yeah, I am looking for a job. Yes, especially like a job that like is gonna like somehow help me. I need to somehow be able to make money to eat and live, pay my rent.
And one job you can do is the real estate one because you just passed the exam.
Yeah, but then you actually have to get the exam and to actually go into the job is two different things. Like I'm gonna have to write emails and do document. I just really understand the concept of real estate, like a lot of things, about it. And I had to study. I had to pay a couple $100 for the course, and I like constantly, with my little reading skills, read the book, and then I just had to get like a 70 score on the test. It's not hard to get it, the license. But to be able to go in to turn it into a job and make any money off of it, that's a different thing.
Yeah, you got to give out your CV to like 1 million real estate agent places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. That is so hard. And do you ever speak to your family at all? Like, they're not going to help you, are they?
No, my family knows that I struggle, whatever. They don't want to help me. I don't want to talk to them, really. But I actually kind of am in contact with them. Especially like more like
he doesn't want to be in contact. He is in contact. He doesn't talk to them, but he really does talk to them. Get the story straight, sir.
Whatever, yeah, it's on and off, but more like I only want to talk to them about technical things, like, hey, I still need my check. Like after I turn 18, open a bank account. Let me get my check back, please. And then whatever. Like now, I mentioned the Swiss passport. I'm probably gonna have to talk to them at some point about that. Whatever, any technical, they're my family, right? Like, I don't know, maybe one time about like health, whatever. I don't know. Like, there's always something, any technical things that I.
But you said you don't want to talk to them. Well, that's the consequences if you don't want to talk to them. Not being able to talk to them.
Need to speak to them. Latzorich panusa for business.
Right. What would you say that despite the struggles, that you're happier on the outside? Do you ever regret not being in that community?
If you asked me if I could, the last 2 years, which was hell, if I could change it, would have I went back and just skipped the hard part, because at some point my life is gonna get good. It's because what am I trying to say? I'm saying, is it hell to leave? So you should say no. I'm saying when you leave, it starts off as a hell. That's the whole thing that I'm trying to advocate here, to educate the people over there, so people can leave. People are not completely disabled and uneducated. And uneducated here, meaning a person cannot read and write. People won't, whatever you can imagine of a person being completely unknown, like from a third world country, that's what it's like. So for people, when they leave, it's very, very hard. So, but eventually you get to live whatever life you want, a free life.
What have been some of the nice things? What's some of the positive things in being outside? I mean, for example, have you found any sort of romantic love and things like that?
I don't like to talk about, no, not really. No, but no.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
See, it's hard. It's very hard to dating because, I don't know. Like it's hard to get girls or guys, whatever I'm into. But But yeah, see, I know one day it will change.
Yeah.
Every good life has humble beginnings.
You're a very handsome and nice man. It must be any man or woman or whoever would be lucky to have you.
Right away.
It's I don't know. It's hard. I also thought like I'm very handsome.
Well, he thought he's handsome, but he doesn't want to pick himself. This is the game, Chevra. This is the game. Dafkan in the game. Looks is not everything. And he's missing the game. Hotash the looks, but he's missing the game.
But I guess handsomeness doesn't, I don't know if it's, see, I'm always thinking if I'm going to get the money that will, well, people always say money doesn't buy happiness. I think it does. Like, not that money will be the end solution to everything. Like, you could have the ultimate amount of money and still not be happy. But whatever problems I have or whatever I want to accomplish, if I have adequate money, I'll be able to fix. Like, I want to get educated right now. I have no money to even start. Like, even if I want to get into a GED program or something, which I haven't found one, people always say they are, but they aren't, right? There aren't any programs that is like useful to me. I've been in one of those programs.
Holly has ook useful for me because it is kind of true as in do. Says do GD classes for other type of people from gelernt andere languages and they're learning English and they kommen so haben a certain basis. Hat doch kein basis. Wenn ich sage, von wie kommt, there's nothing. So, sieht a Platz, wie wir können bauen the foundation von Kita Aleph. First grade, as they say, kindergarten. And then build up, also soll können bekommen the GD and gehen weiter. Which I understand.
It was on a very, very high level compared to where I am. So, I cannot read and write. So, and a lot of other things. I haven't heard like basic. I don't even know what an essay is. Okay, so a couple months ago, I didn't even know the word essay, but I still don't know what an essay is. I don't know anything. So
could you get help from other former Hasidic Jews? I think of people I know like Javi Weisberger and Julia Hart.
Yeah, there are organizations. I don't want to talk shit about other other organizations, but those organizations sounds in theory very good, but they don't really offer a whole lot. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. I guess it's a great what is it called, like networking organization. So I met some good people through that organizations, but not really that they can help. Maybe they need better management. I don't know, but yeah, they're not like, oh yeah, we will really help you. We got this amazing You're still kind of all alone out there and try to figure it out without much support. But yeah, I know it sounds very negative, everything I'm saying, but listen, that's what it is. Oh, so back to the question, the last 2 years, as bad as it may sound from some aspects, I would have still chosen the struggle over still being in there. So from here on out, it only gets better. Somebody told me, what is it? I forgot the exact thing, but basically that when you're in the community, you, climbing the hill, right? So whatever, I don't remember the point, but when you're in the community, you're never gonna, it's only gonna get worse from there, right? Once you leave, it may be bad, but it's only gonna get better from there, right? Every day gets better. Maybe someday you feel like you took 5 steps forward and you went 20 steps back, but in like the stock market, if you look at it, the big picture, you went up, right? So
it also depends why you leave. Von wo die Geister weg. And some people have it easier because they have the money figured out, they have a good education, then they gewähnt, lass mal sagen, on the Weg zu werden a Dayan, a rabbi, so they learned how to learn. So now they just switch over to the secular world, they have an easier time. When you wake up in a community, like a mental wake up, it's very hard to go back, even though there is pain on the other side. But going back is like, would anybody from a Jewish community move into an Amish community and feel whole? No. So the same reason he doesn't want to go back, he feels segunish, leidig. So the pain is stuck on the other side because previously he's a great baraplazi, he's leidig, but he's looking forward that it will be good because he wants to live the way he thinks is true.
Same thing is with anybody who leaves in my life. How I see it already, and I know it's gonna get better. So and I know I'm gonna be like very rich and successful and happy, but it starts off like that. And I knew, that's why it took me a couple months to like make the decision, because I really wanted to understand with the little information about the world. I just wanted to confirm that there's another. We got word that the world is not a box; it's a circle. So once I got that information, I was like, I'll leave and I'll figure it out after I leave.
Yeah, and do you like the outside world? Then was it crazy for you to see? Like, I know you started going on the smartphone of the taxi driver, but to start to see the world, like the internet and TV and all the stuff out there.
By the way, wegen the taxi driver, aber masses als pflegen nitzen the phone in the back seat for pornographic videos. Pflegt ordern a taxi, pflegt anfuhren in a corner, pflegt borgen the phone, watchen porn, teens on business and a wegfuhren. So I mean, beginnen.
See, once you leave, you also need to learn that not everything on the internet is like real and whatever. Like you need to like also realize that a whole lot of things is not the way you think it works from certain places you see it. You know what I mean? What is your news source, right? Where like what I used to live upstate New York, now I live in the city. But I used to think if I'm gonna come to the city, like I said, like Harlem or whatever, Manhattan, I'm gonna get probably shot, killed. You come here, in reality, it's not like that, right? A lot of things you're being told. Even in the outside world, again, not every bad thing only happens in there. So you need to really learn everything. You're like a toddler, right? You constantly like an AI mind. You constantly scanning and seeing new things, hearing new things, learning new things, comparison and contrast to see this versus that, to understand. Because at first, when I used to look at the world, I thought everybody is the same. I thought the homeless person on the street, drug addict, looks the same to me than the successful person on Wall Street and the same person that shops at ShopRite. They all look to me the same. It's like if a person who didn't grow up Hasidic will look at the Hasidic people, they all look the same. But really, there's so many different lives within there. So and sometimes all the lives within the Hasidic community could look bad or good, but it's not. So you need to find your own path with outside this community, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. I suppose you're saying like you go out with so little information that, because I remember I interviewed someone called Emily Green, and I mention this sometimes because it amazed me when she left the Hasidic community in London. She went to a job interview and she didn't get the job, and it was because she was wearing jeans instead of like suits, trousers, or well, whatever you're supposed to wear. And she was like, I had no idea that jeans were not the smart thing. You know, I thought jeans were it all looks the same to me.
That is very interesting. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like we don't understand, like, clothing especially, right? Like certain things. I always watch to the interviews that you have with other people like me. I don't have, like, when I'm getting asked questions, I don't have all these ideas. Like maybe now I had more ideas, but like usually, I don't know, like I can't really think of certain things. But yeah, that's so true. Like with the clothes, you think that one thing is cool or one thing is the way you do it, but really that's the complete different way. Because at first everything looks the same. You think like, you know, but that's what I say. When you live through it, you only go up from here.
you got loads of ideas, and you speak brilliantly about these things. I mean, if you've listened to the other ones with like Julia Hart and Javi Weisberg, I mean, Julia's I think in her 40s or 50s. I don't want to offend her if she's younger than that. I don't know how old she is.
I listened to the one with Javi.
Yeah, she's got to be what, 30s, 40? I don't know. I'm seeing her soon actually in London, because she's going to be in London. But yeah, I think you've got to. I think you're right. You're going to keep working hard, and you're going to find a way. Hey, where can people find all your stuff, like Instagram and YouTube?
So my name is Joseph Kraus. So if they search on any, like, YouTube and Instagram, especially JOSEPH, is Joseph. Kraus is K.
Okay, Kim, do to the end from the video. Wow, this is just a picture. Oh, ja. Ich verstehe, wieso der Goy seht es, but wenn du kickst das von einer jiddischen Perspektive, kannst du sehen, weil du weißt, von wo es redet, that is a Leidiger. Not pushing him down personally, but weiß nicht, hat nicht gut nicht. Hat just gewähnt noch ein Hemd auf der Line, was mit aufgegangen zu waschen, zu drehen. Hat just gewähnt für 13, 14 Jahre, he didn't like it. Hat him obviously abused. Ich meine, obviously, was sagt. And wow, what a crazy. Ich hoffe, man kann sich lernen von dem, als unheimlich zu geben, bessere jiddische Education. Obviously, sie geben secular education, schreiben, lernen, wissen Sachen, können reden mit dem Goy. Man kann enhance life also. Alright, thank you for watching. Ich hoffe, ihr habt es enjoyed. Ich habe es ganz gut enjoyed. But ich sehen wir der nächste. Peace.